So, with that, I am going to sit down and be quiet for a moment and introduce our first speaker for the morning, Mr. Joseph Garcia. Joe?
Good morning. For those of you who follow this issue, it strikes me that having somebody from North Carolina start a session about graduation rate accountability reminds us of the parable of the prodigal son. Many of you may remember that a couple of years ago, North Carolina was claiming a 97% graduation rate, which prompted my friends at the Education Trust to call our calculation irrational, which prompted a headline in the Washington Post calling North Carolina's graduation rate a fable. So I guess it's also telling that now that our graduation rate is reported differently and it's slightly below the national average, commentators in the Post and elsewhere don't really pay much attention to North Carolina, but that's a different kind of trouble. So I guess I should say, start by saying thank you to the Alliance and the campaign for throwing us this great party as the prodigal son returns to the fold and move forward. My group, the North Carolina New Schools Project, has really been advocating about graduation rates since it was begun in 2003. We do that primarily for three reasons. The first is that we feel like if you don't have sort of a full picture of a school's performance, you don't have real accountability. You have a shadow of accountability. If I were to describe for you an innovative high school in North Carolina that's increased its participation in higher level math course taking by more than 40%, that promotes from grade to grade more than 90% of its students, and for the class of 2007 had a 93% graduation rate calculated in a valid way, I doubt many of you would label that school low performing. But in North Carolina, that's one of our high schools, and it is a low performing school because its end of course test results have dropped as it's kept more kids in school and has struggled to raise them to the level of rigor that we all seek. They've gotten a dip in their test results, so now they're labeled low performing. Most people won't listen to all that data that I just shared with you. They'll just stick with the label low performing, and that's troubling given the progress that school's made. I don't want to be confused. We're at the New Schools Project, we're very much in favor of more rigor and higher expectations, but we feel like in the sentence, all kids performing to high standards, we ought to pay as much attention to all, the word all, as we do the word performing or passing. And we feel like at the moment the accountability system, at least in North Carolina, has been skewed in a different direction. The second reason that we focus on the graduation rate so much when we do policy work or speak publicly in North Carolina is that we feel there's a very strong interplay between the kind of innovation that we try and bring to schools, the kind of changes in teaching and learning that we think are fundamental to getting a better result in high school. There's an interplay between that and attention to the graduation rate. At the moment, we have what amounts to the educational equivalent of a street hustler's shell game. Where can we put the students and which school, and are they in school at all? Can we sort of move them off the table altogether? The design of the traditional comprehensive high school plays that game very well, and what we're about is sort of changing the design, bringing about a different kind of teaching and learning, which we're doing now we've got 86 innovative high schools open in North Carolina. We've got about another 30 in the pipeline. So we'll be over 100. That's in a state that has about 400 high schools. So we really feel like to move from 100 to closer to 400, the public needs to demand a different kind of high school. They're not going to demand a different high school if we continue to play the shell game. Finally, and I know Raul's going to speak to this in a minute, so I won't labor on this point. But you know, to us, this is a moral imperative. If you are a black ninth grader in North Carolina, you have about a 3 out of 5 chance of getting out of high school in 5 years, not 4 years. It's a little bit lower for 4 years, but in 5 years, which we think is a reasonable expectation. If you're a Hispanic ninth grader, you're basically 50-50 odds. Those aren't good odds. They're not fair odds, and in the end, they're odds that aren't good for North Carolina as a state, and they're not good for individual North Carolinians. So, we feel very strongly that we need to speak out about this, and so that's really the third reason.